Hello, this is Craig Beck. Welcome in to a very different type of episode because in this one, I need your help and I need you to answer two really important questions for me. Because, look, I've been helping people quit drinking for 15 years now, nearly 16 years. It's something that I still want to do. It's still something that's very important to me. So don't worry about that. But what I do want to do is make a change to this channel and talk about things beyond alcohol as well as sobriety. So I will still talk about alcohol, still talk about quitting drinking. I'll still talk about maintaining sobriety. And I know that's why you came here in the first place. But what I'm going to suggest is that we start digging into what's underneath that alcohol. Because if you've been with me for a while, you'll know that I have a mantra that alcohol is not the problem. Alcohol is just a symptom of a problem. And, you know, the traditional establishment treats it as a problem in and of itself. You tell someone you're an alcoholic or you've got a drinking problem, they go, okay, that's the problem we've got to fix. You know, you say that to someone and you can say that to a doctor. They don't then go, well, I wonder what's causing that. I wonder what pain is underneath that addiction. They just go, okay, 1 + 1 = 57. Alcoholic, treat for alcoholism. And I've never agreed with that because I've always thought that alcohol is there to cover up something else. And this is why I've never been a huge fan of AA, because you go to AA and you say, I'm an alcoholic, and they go, okay, right, we're going to take alcohol off you because you're weak-willed and you're pathetic. You can never have this again. We're going to take that away from you. And every year that you stay away from this thing that you like the most on planet Earth, we'll give you a little medal and say, well done to you. And I've never agreed with that because that creates dry drunks. It creates people who are sober but miserable. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. That's not an outcome. That's not something to strive for, is it? It doesn't make any sense. Because for all these people, they're not drinking because they want to. They're drinking because it's a coping mechanism. At some point along the way, they were in pain, they were in despair, and they realized alcohol numbed that terrible feeling. And so they started using alcohol. It's a coping mechanism. And you go somewhere like AA and they say, right, give me a coping mechanism, throw that away. Okay, great. So you're sober now. Maybe you'll live a bit longer, but you'll live a longer, more miserable life as a result. And that's not an outcome that anyone should be aiming for. So in this channel, I want to talk about some bigger stuff. I want to talk about what's underneath the alcohol. I want to talk about why life appears to be so confusing. I want to talk about the big questions. And I think one thing I've noticed over 15 years of helping people to quit drinking is there's a very strong lean towards introversion. I'd say 80% of the people I coach on a one-to-one basis are introverts when it comes to alcohol. Very rarely do I meet an extrovert who's got a drinking problem. Maybe it's just that the introverts ask for help more. It's impossible to know. But what I do know, being an introvert myself, is that we're born with these crazy active brains. They're always thinking, always churning over ideas, always coming up with catastrophes and things that could happen. So we tend to suffer with anxiety, we tend to suffer with depression, and we tend to use alcohol to quiet our crazy brain. And if you've got a crazy brain like me, then you're probably asking some pretty big questions, and you're probably quite frustrated. You know, what is the point of life? Why are you here? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why is life so hard? Why is it so painful? Maybe you go further than that. Maybe you have a theory, you know? Maybe you believe we choose to come here and we plan our life out. Why would we choose such suffering? And what happens next? What happens when we die? I want to talk about all the big questions. Now, don't worry, I'm not having a midlife crisis. I've had plenty of those. This isn't one of them. You know, if I wanted to do that, I'd just go and buy a sports car or something. It may be that I'm getting a bit older. You know, I'll tell you a story. I put in a question into ChatGPT yesterday about a herbal supplement. And I asked ChatGPT, I said, you know, should I start using this supplement? Bearing in mind what you know about me. Do you know what its reply was? It said, Bearing in mind your advanced age, I would not advise you using the supplement. I've just been insulted by a computer. So maybe it is because I'm of an advanced age these days, and I want to start thinking about deeper stuff. Um, but the questions I want to ask you, I am in full appreciation that you came here because I'm a stop drinking expert, and that's what you came for. Um, do you agree with my decision? Do you think I should be talking about stuff other than alcohol here, or should I just go back and just talk about quitting drinking? Is that what you want from me? The second thing is, let's assume that I do broaden this out and I talk about more things. We talk about anxiety, depression. We talk about spiritual stuff. We talk about the meaning of life and all the big questions. Second question is, will you stay with me, or are you going to hit that unsubscribe button? And honestly, if you do that, I totally understand. I hope you do stay with me because I've really enjoyed being with you and reading your comments over the years. So that's all I'm asking today is, what do you think? Is it something that you would enjoy, you would stay with me for, or is it a mistake? Genuinely want your opinion on this in the comments below. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.